أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد.
يكون ثمن السلعة معلوما عند البائع والمشتري, that the price of this product must also be known. The guy says, I sell you my house. He asks, for how much? He says, no, don't worry, I'll pay you something, which is decent. No, maybe decency in your department is £5. Decency with this brother is £1,000. So the product must be known and also the price must be known at the time of this sale transaction. Why? Lest we come later on and one of the parties says, well, I purchased the house, but I thought it was like this. I thought it was 5 bedrooms and now it's, just like a basement, subhanAllah. And the brother also on the other side, he said, well, I was expecting £1,000 and you've only given me 10. I'm not happy with this transaction. So at the time of transacting the transaction, the price and the product must be known. Take note, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat. With regards to this chapter, and especially when it comes to contemporary masail, contemporary issues, a lot of debate. And because obviously internationally Islamic finance, left, right and center is something on the upswing. Islamic finance is something that everyone wants to get into. So we find a lot of corruption, you have a lot of matters which are just painted over, and it seems that it is something which is Islamic or it is something which is permissible. You have obviously some claiming that this year is 100% Sharia compliant. Others state, well, it is Sharia friendly, subhanallah, Allahu musta'an. So it's not 100% correct, but it's Sharia friendly. Ala kulli hal. When it comes to these matters, where should one go? Where does one look up the issues? Where does one find research papers, research documents, the answers to your questions? Then some of the places that you can find them would be, number one, the majami', the various fiqh academies around the world. For example, the one which follows the OIC countries based in Jeddah, their research documents now in probably about 60 volumes. The resolutions which come out carry a lot of weight. The banks, etc., would not be phoning up the local imam of the masjid to ask him about these matters, but rather they look at the resolutions. Hopefully they look at the resolutions of the Islamic fiqh academies, and that's where they draw their rulings, etc., from. Also, the World Muslim League, Rabitatul Alam al-Islami, their fiqh academy based in Mecca al-Mukarramah. The other fiqh bodies, for example, the Council of Senior Scholars in Saudi Arabia, AMJA, Assembly of Muslim Scholars in the US, the European Council of Fatawa in Europe. You also have the Indian Fiqh Academy. So their research documents, very, very important for a student of knowledge to go through them. Very, very good research documents. You also have the students who are in the level of doing their masters. So their research papers, their research documents, their thesis, etc. also available. You also find doctorate's thesis on the various topics linked to Mu'amalat al-Mu'asara with regards to contemporary issues in banking. One also looks to the Sharia boards of the various banks. Bank al-Rajihi, for example, in Saudi Arabia, one of those banks which has the strongest Sharia board. You find their research documents, their internal research documents, etc. Buhuth, research papers, all have been printed and they are available, many of them available online. So this is important for the student to go through. Bank Al-Bilad in Saudi Arabia, the Bank of Dubai, the Bank of Al Jazeera, also based in Saudi Arabia, and many other banks. The research documents, very important for someone to go through. Take note on a side matter. Many a bank has a Sharia board. This is not enough. As many a contemporary scholar has stated, this is not enough. Because many a times the Sharia board rules on a matter and states this is permissible, that's not permissible, it should be done like this and be done like that. But implementation on the ground never takes place. And that's why, for example, Sheikh Yusuf Ash-Shubaili and others have always emphasized the point that a bank, for it to be Sharia compliant, it should have a Sharia board, number one, and number two, a Sharia department which makes sure that the rulings, the resolutions of the Sharia board are implemented at every single branch. The documentation, etc., everything is in accordance with what the Sharia board has ruled. Because as we said, Sharia board rules on something and the bank says, and they flaunt this, that we have on our board such and such and this person and that person, but you never ever implement the rulings of those brothers and those scholars on your Sharia board. So two matters: Sharia board, number two, the body which oversees the implementation at every single branch and in all documentation, etc. Also, from amongst the contemporary scholars who are masters, who probably from morning till evening are involved in the matters of finance, you find, for example, Sheikh Abdullah Al-Mani' from Saudi Arabia. You also have Sheikh Ali Al-Qardaghi, not Qardawi, that's Yusuf Al-Qardawi. You have another scholar also on many of these bodies, many of the fiqh academies. His name is Ali Al-Qardaghi. You also have Abdul Sattar Abu Ghudda, you have Sheikh Yusuf Al-Shubayli, Dr. Atram, and many others. You have Mufti Taqi Uthmani and many other scholars. With that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we now begin the chapter Kitab Al-Bay'. The author states, قال الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَالْبَيْعُ مُعَاوَضَةُ الْمَالِ بِالْمَالِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated, and He has made trading, business transactions lawful, permissible. That's the basic rule with regards to this matter. Trading is the exchange of property, mal for mal. We previously discussed that it's an exchange, and so sadaqah, gifts, loans, etc. are excluded. And many various definitions within one madhab and across the madahib, many definitions. Nonetheless, the author continues and he states, it is permissible to trade any possession. والبيع معاوضة المال بالمال ويجوز بيع كل مملوك فيه نفع مباح إلا الكلب. That it is permissible to trade any mamluk. Mamluk means something which is owned by you. You are the malik, you are the possessor and owner. You own this matter and you possess it. That's the proper definition of mamluk. You own it and you possess it, because there's a difference between owning and possessing, as we will discuss later on. It is permissible to trade any mamluk that can be used for some legitimate purpose. Naf' means benefit, and mubah, a benefit which is permissible. Someone might say, well, alcohol has a benefit. Well, it's excluded because it does not have a permissible benefit. So, as the author states, it is permissible to trade any mamluk, any possession which you own, that can be used for legitimate purposes. As for the proofs for this matter, the famous hadith of Hakim ibn Hizam, reported by Imam An-Nasa'i, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, etc. Prophet ﷺ had stated, لا تبع ما ليس عندك, and do not sell what you do not have. We also find the hadith of Amr ibn Shu'aib, وَلَا يَبِعْ وَلَا بَيْعْ إِلَّا فِي مَا تَمْلِكْ, and you're not allowed to sell except what you own. This hadith reported by Imam Abu Dawood. So we are not allowed to sell except what we own. We will discuss this matter later on, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. There are obviously a few exclusions. From amongst the exclusions, you have something called bay' al-fuduli, selling on behalf of someone else without their permission. I know that brother Suleiman, he wants to sell his car. He has it on the market. He hasn't told me that, brother Bilal, I want you to sell my car, etc. But I was having a discussion with someone and he mentioned that, I'm in the market, I want to buy a car. I said, subhanallah, I know someone who's selling a car and, I will sell this car to you. What car do you want? He says, I'm looking for a Toyota Corolla. I say to him, well, Toyota Corolla, this model, that model, these number of wheels, this type, that type. I describe the entire car to him. And in fact, it might be parked somewhere. I take it to him and I take him to it and I show him the car. He says, fantastic, I want to purchase the car. I say to him, $2,000. And he says, fantastic, he pays me $2,000 and we transact this transaction. But this car does not belong to me. This is the car of brother Ahmed or brother Suleiman or brother Iqbal, etc. I am selling the product which belongs to someone else and I had no permission to do the sale. Is this permissible? The madhab of Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal allows this with the condition, obviously, that the sale is suspended upon the permission of the owner. So now, after the sale transaction, we go to Brother Ahmed and I say to him, Brother Ahmed, you know, you wanted to sell your Toyota Corolla? Well, I found someone and, you know, I've sold it to him for $2,000. If he is happy, then the transaction continues. And if he is not happy, then we reverse the transaction and I give the money back to the original purchaser, etc. And there's no sale which occurs. So this is called bay' fuduli on behalf of someone else. It is permissible according to the madhab of Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal, whereas majority of the scholars said no. The stronger opinion is that it is permissible because there's no harm in this transaction. I say to this purchaser, I'm selling you this car, it's not really my car, you know, we'll transact the transaction, but we will go later on to Brother Ahmed, and if he gives permission, then we will continue the transaction and you can take the car. If he says no, well, there's no loss, nothing gained, and we continue in our ways. So this is an example where I sold something which did not belong to me for someone else. The opposite is also permissible. That is, that I purchased something for someone else. Brother Ahmed, he wanted to purchase a car. So I go around and I find someone is selling this Toyota Corolla, a massive bargain. I purchase this car and I say to the brother who's selling the car, I say to him that I'm purchasing this for a friend of mine. If he is happy with it, then we continue the transaction. And if he is not, then obviously I will return it to you. The man says, no problem, you know, you give me the money, I give you the car, take it to your friend. And if he doesn't like it, you bring it back. No harm done, everyone is happy. We take it to Brother Ahmed, he's happy, he takes it. He's not happy, I return it and we get the money back. So there's no harm done. And this is permissible bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. It is allowed and suspended upon the permission of the owner, insha'Allah. The author continues and he states, فيه نفع مباح إلا الكلب, that this item, the product of the sale, it must be something which has permissible use. It must be something which has legitimate use. And the exclusions obviously would be alcohol, drugs, those matters which we are not allowed to make use of. Pornography would also be haram. Cigarettes, musical instruments, etc. They are haram. They do not have permissible benefits in them, and so one cannot transact in them. And also, if for example a father, he finds cigarettes with his son, he takes all of these cigarettes, he squashes it up and he flushes it down the toilet. Question: does the father have to recompensate the son, give the son compensation? Obviously the son purchased these cigarettes, it might have been £1. Does the father have to exchange and give him the £1 in lieu of destroying his cigarettes? The answer is no. Why? Because the Hanbali scholars define mal, define wealth as something which is permissible to transact in, and it must have permissible use. Whereas cigarettes do not have permissible use, so technically they do not have any value. So if you destroyed the cigarettes of your son, you know, there's nothing, no compensation whatsoever. If you destroyed pornography, you do not have to compensate that individual. Someone had a lot of alcohol and we destroyed it, Jayid, and this is obviously for the hakim, for the sultan, the person who has authority. So he destroyed all of this alcohol. Does he have to compensate that individual? It might have been worth maybe £10,000. No compensation. Why? Because it does not have legitimate permissible use, and so it has no value whatsoever according to the madhab of Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal rahimahullah. Then he states, إِلَّا الْكَلْبِ, except the dog. Except the dog. Why except the dog? Because technically the dog has permissible use, but it's impermissible to sell. Whereas alcohol, it does not have permissible use, does not have any benefit, and it is haram. Pornography does not have any benefit and it is haram. Cigarettes do not have benefit and it's haram. Whereas a dog has permissible benefit, but it's still haram to transact upon. Let's see. The Prophet ﷺ, he states in Sahih al-Bukhari, Naha an thamani al-kalb, and the companion states, we were prohibited from making a sale, making a profit, making a transaction on the dog. And this is the opinion of the Hanbali madhab, that it is not permissible to sell the dog. So technically, something we can benefit from it, but we're not allowed to transact in it. You can have a blind dog. The individual who is blind, so he has this dog that helps him around. At the airports, we have the security dog. We have a guard dog outside the house. We have a dog for looking after your cattle, etc. Permissible to have such a dog. Permissible to have a hunting dog. But as for buying a dog, selling a dog, this is impermissible. Yes, no doubt. One can charge for the training of the dog, but one cannot charge for the dog itself, because the dog itself, technically in terms of commodity, does not have value. Why? Because as we saw previously, alcohol and pornography and all of these matters, if it was destroyed, there is no compensation whatsoever. Based upon that hadith recorded by Imam al-Bukhari, Naha an thaman al-kalb. Permissible to charge for the training of the dog, but not for the dog itself. And we mentioned that this is for the hakim, this is for the sultan. It's not up to myself and yourself to go out in public and destroy the bars and destroy the shops which are selling pornography or selling cigarettes, etc. This is for the hakim, the sultan, the guy who has authority. The author continues and he states, وقال من اقتنى كلبا إلا كلب ماشية أو صيد نقص من عمله كل يوم قيراطان. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam has stated that the individual, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, من اقتنى كلبا, whoever has a dog, except the dog for his animals, for his cattle, or a hunting dog, he loses from his good deeds every single day 2 mountains, 2 qirats of good deeds. So if you just have a dog, you're having a poodle, you have a pet, etc., every day from your good deeds you lose 2 qirat of reward. What's a qirat? A mountain range similar to Uhud in terms of good deeds. 2 of them you lose every day. Except if you have, example, a dog for looking after your cattle, a dog for hunting, a guard dog, a police dog, a blind dog, etc. These would be permissible bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The author continues and he states, ولا يجوز بيع ما ليس بمملوك لبائعه إلا بإذن مالكه أو ولاية عليه. And it is not permissible to trade any item that is not a possession of its seller, of its vendor. You are selling something, you must be the owner of it, except with the permission of its owner. If you don't own it, then you must be the agent of the seller. For example, you are the salesman, Brother Ahmed said to you that please sell my car, then it is permissible. Or when acting as his guardian, so you are the guardian over the kid, you are the guardian over the orphan, that would be permissible. You are the agent, etc., that would be permissible. Either you're the owner or you are given permission to transact this transaction on behalf of the owner. And proof for this was the previous hadith which we mentioned, the hadith of Hakim ibn Hizam, recorded by Imam at-Tirmidhi, an-Nasa'i, etc. لا تبع ما ليس عندك, do not sell what you do not have. You cannot sell that which you don't own, and you cannot sell that which you do not possess. We will discuss that in greater detail later on.